Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a Geode Gravity Ice-Dyed hoodie. I'm using one of the buffalo hoodies from Costco, which is 70% viscose, 16% cotton, 11% polyester, and 3% elastane. To start, I'm going to use a straight edge and a washable marker and draw a diagonal line across the hoodie, from one shoulder to the opposite hem. Now I'm going to fan fold this line and I'm going to tie it with some sinew. I have a lot of fabric with this fold, so when I start to wrap the sinew around, I'm going to wrap it around a couple of times and then I'm going to start to gently pull the sinew. I want to make sure that the folds don't buckle as I start to tighten the sinew down. I'm also going to lay my hand flat on top of the sinew and on top of the fold, and that's going to help keep it from buckling quite as bad too. I want to pull the sinew as tight as I can, but like I said, I don't want those folds to pop up. So the bottom portion of the hoodie I want to gravity dye, and the top portion of the hoodie I want to be geodes. So I'm going to tie the geodes on the hoodie the way I normally tie them. I'm going to find a place where I'd like the center of a geode to be, and then slide my hand down where I want the bottom or the outer rings of that geode to be, and start tying from there. Like normal, I'm going to vary the amount of lines in the geodes, the size of the different geodes, the distance between the lines of the geodes, just kind of try to keep it as messy as possible, all in an attempt to make the geodes look more natural. Truly, the messier the better when it comes to geodes. It's a little tough though to get the fabric to be messy with this kind of a hoodie. The fabric is so soft, it just doesn't hold the wrinkles. It's really nice to wear though. I'm also only grabbing one layer of fabric. I'm not tying both the front side and the back side at the same time. The initial sinew line that I tied has quite a few folds, which make it a little bit tough to get right up next to that line to tie geodes. I do the best that I can, but I know that area is not going to be as defined as the rest of the hoodie. Now that I have this half of the hoodie tied with geodes, I'm going to use my sinew to do kind of some definition lines in between all the geodes. As I'm tying these definition lines in between, I'm also going to kind of press the geodes down so that they're going to lay a little bit flatter. That's going to make it a little bit easier to apply the dye to them. The definition lines in between too are just going to add some interest into that area. I've chosen a purple and gray color palette, and for my setup I'm using a metal shelving unit, and I've placed one of the Dollar Tree Dollar Store plastic containers on the top shelf. I have another container like this on the second shelf to catch any of the runoff. Then I'm going to randomly apply the dye to the various sections of the hoodie. I'm also going to add dye to the sinew section that I did kind of as definition lines. I've used a lot of colors on this geode. I've listed them down below in the description for the video, but let me go ahead and give them to you as well. I used Vintage Purple, Lavender Fields, English Violet, and Dark Cherry from Dye Spin. Then I used Plum from Pro Chemical and Dye, Royal Purple from Grateful Dyes, and from Dharma Trading Company I used Hydrangea, Plum Blossom, Silver Lining, Charcoal, Brush Steel, and Raven. After I placed all the dye on the shirt, I'm going to go ahead and add an additional sprinkle of soda ash over the top. I noticed a little bit of random dye in one of the folds which I was going to gravity dye. So while it was still just kind of in powder form, I took my hand and brushed it away. Hopefully that won't become a large spot. I did the same thing on the outer portion of the hoodie. I had one little piece of dye that fell down there. Then I'm going to layer the ice on. And I'm going to fill this container with ice because I want the hoodie to sit in quite a bit of muck. I've added quite a few process photos so you can kind of see how as the ice melted, the hoodie soaked up that muck and it transferred that muck down to the container below. So the muck ran through the gravity portion of the hoodie and down into the container below, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. By the way, if you're going to do one of these muck dyed hoodies or muck dye anything and do the gravity portion, you have to pick colors that kind of blend well together because the bottom part of the shirt is basically going to be the same color as the muck is. So if you pick a bunch of colors that blend together and make really yucky looking muck, then the bottom portion of your shirt isn't going to be very pretty. You can see in a couple of these photos how the muck level is going down in the container that actually has the hoodie in it, and how the muck level is coming up in the container below the hoodie. It looks like there's not a whole lot of dye on the gravity dyed portion of the hoodie, but part of the reason for that is I have the hoodie turned inside out. So what you're seeing is the polyester portion of the hoodie, because that's the fuzzy part that's on the inside. So it's a lot lighter than the actual hoodie is. I left the hoodie outside with this setup until the dye had gotten all the way to the outer edges. It was a little cooler the day that I did this hoodie. It was kind of dipping down below 70 degrees at night. So I brought the hoodie inside my garage and allowed the gravity dyed part to just hang over into the sink. That way it wouldn't mess up the design, but the hoodie would also be processing in a place that was quite a bit warmer. The Procyon fiber reactive dye needs some heat to bond properly with the fabric. It needs to be at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. If for some reason you're hovering right around that temperature and you can't seem to quite get to 70 degrees, you can just either leave your item a little bit longer and let it process longer, or you can do a little bit of hot water irrigation on it, try to get it to a warmer space. There are several different fixes for that. But I wanted to make sure this had plenty of warmth to bond properly with the fabric. So I left it for probably about, 2 days before I rinsed it out. I rinsed it like normal by starting in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. I untied the hoodie and then I warmed the water up to hot to try to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. There's quite a bit of dark purple coming out of this hoodie, so I went ahead and soaked it by adding some really hot water to either my sink or a plastic container, adding a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowing the hoodie to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and continued that soaking process until the water was almost clear. Then I placed the hoodie along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so now the hoodie's been washed and dried and this is what it looks like. Well, I think this one looks pretty. What do you guys think? I really like the design of the geodes. I think they look really nice. I do have one that's got a lot of white on it on the back, but I don't think it looks bad. I've added some close-ups so that you can kind of see how the dye moved and streaked down the hoodie. And I like the color of the bottom gravity dyed portion. I think that turned out looking pretty. Like I said, when you mix those colors, you have to make sure the muck is not ugly. Otherwise, the bottom portion of your hoodie or whatever you're gravity dyeing might not look so great. Do you see how good the saturation is in that gravity portion too? Like I said, it looked a whole lot lighter when you were looking at it from the inside of the hoodie where it was mainly polyester. I've started referring to this design as a rock slide because it's at an angle and it kind of looks like the rocks are sliding down the hoodie. But if you guys have a better name for it, let me know. So I'm pretty happy with the hoodie, but what do you guys think? Drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you're enjoying the content of this YouTube channel, I sure would appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.